I wanted to take a moment to share my thoughts on the passing of jazz guitar giant Russell Malone. I assume most of you are familiar with his playing, but if not, I encourage you to listen to this fabulous guitar player. He was a straight-ahead player who not only played amazing single-note lines, but also had great chord soloing ideas in his repertoire. In addition, he had a totally unique solo guitar style and would shine when accompanying a singer in duo. I'll be showing you a little bit of Russell's great jazz guitar vocabulary in this video, and the link for the tabs can be found in the description. I first became aware of Russell from his playing on the Diana Krall album, All For You. This was a tribute record to the Nat King Cole Trio, and the instrumentation was piano, upright bass, and guitar. It's a beautiful album full of swinging tunes and gorgeous ballads in the Nat King Cole Trio style. When that album was released in the 90s, it was at the beginning of my jazz guitar journey, and at the time I was listening a lot to the Oscar Peterson Trio with Herb Ellis and Ray Brown. That was my gateway into jazz. The sound of a trio with guitar, piano, and bass using elaborate arrangements like Oscar's trio was doing at the time, well, that was appealing to me. And when I heard Diana Krall's trio doing the same thing, it caught my attention immediately. In Canada at that time, we had a nightly jazz radio show broadcast across the country, and they would often play songs from that Diana Krall Nat King Cole tribute record. My ears instantly perked up at the fantastic guitar playing on those tracks. I had no idea who the guitar player was on the album when I heard the songs on the radio, but upon buying the CD, I noticed that it was indeed Russell. And thus began my journey learning about this fantastic guitar player and trying to find out what other albums he played on. I discovered that in addition to Diana Krall, he also played with Harry Connick Jr., Jimmy Smith, Roy Hargrove, and of course had a number of solo albums to his name. I collected these and soaked up as much as I could from his fantastic playing. And as a matter of fact, I played one of his tunes at my final recital at university, a tune called For Toddlers Only. I also had the great pleasure of meeting him in the green room at a theater in Miami in 2015. I was playing with a jazz singer, and we were on the same bill as Diane Reeves, and Russell was playing with Diane Reeves at the time. So I got to see his set side stage. It was amazing, and we had a chat backstage. We spoke about guitars and gigs, and I recall him asking me about the Ibanez George Benson guitar that I was using on the show. Anyway, he was lovely and humble, and I was happy to have a brief moment to tell him how much I enjoyed his playing. If you want to hear some absolutely amazing musical guitar playing featuring Russell at his peak powers, check out a live concert on YouTube with the Diana Krall Trio, filmed ironically in Montreal, my home city, during our jazz festival. I'll link it in the description. It features Russell, Diana Krall, and a fantastic bass player named Paul Keller, and they are playing tunes from the All For You album. I recall being young, seeing this on TV, and being completely transfixed by the incredible playing of all three of them. But Russell stood out for me during that concert. He does everything well. Rhythm guitar working perfectly with the piano, awesome single note lines, crazy chord solos, singing perfect backup vocals, and beautifully accompanying Diana Krall in duo with just guitar and voice. As a matter of fact, about once a year I revisit that video just to watch Russell's breathtaking solo on the song Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And each time I listen to the solo, I think, this solo can't really be as good as I remember it, right? And each time I come to the same conclusion, it's actually better. I'll now show you some of Russell's vocabulary that I transcribed from his records. Russell was a straight-ahead player playing swinging, bluesy lines that outline the chord changes well. This type of playing sits well in my wheelhouse, and there are tendencies in my playing that I know came directly from him, especially during his period with Diana Krall. All right, let's take a look at some of Russell's lines that I have transcribed. The first one is from his first solo record, and the song is called When I Take My Sugar to Tea, and it's a 1-6-2-5-3-6-2-5 chord progression in the key of G. So the 1 being the G major 7, 6 being E7, A minor 7, 2, 5 being D7, he plays it as D7 altered, and then B minor 7, the 3 chord, 6 chord, the second time he plays it as E minor 7, A minor 7, the 2, and the 5 chord, D7. Back to 1. And here is what Russell plays over that chord progression. Once more. And you can hear those lines are outlining the chord changes perfectly and beautifully. So let's take a look at the line. It starts off with a G major 7 arpeggio. Then for the E7, he plays it as E7 flat 9. And he's going down the A harmonic minor scale or the E Phrygian dominant scale. So there's the E Phrygian dominant scale. Next up is the A minor 7, and he lands on the note C, which is the third of A minor 7, which sets him up for the D altered line that he plays right here. Highlighting, of course, the sharp 9 and the flat 9. Landing on the note B, which is the tonic of the 3 chord, going up the arpeggio. Then on the E minor 7, he plays this. These are all arpeggios. Next up, A minor 7. Yet one more arpeggio. And landing on the B flat, the sharp 5 of D, and the F sharp, the third of D. So one last time, the whole line. The next line comes from that same solo album, yet this time on a song called Moonlight Serenade, and it features one of Russell's chord solos. It looks like this. So for this one, we are in the key of F, and the chord progression is a 2-5-1 in the key of F. So G minor 7, C7, and F major 7. And again, he plays this. And this all comes from using drop 2 chord voicings on the top 4 strings. There's your G minor 7, G minor 7 again, yet again, here's G minor 9, approaching from a half step below. This we often play as a sub for G minor 7, with the note F on top. This, of course, being a C13, chromatic C sharp, and resolving to an F6-9. The next example is from the song Hit That Jive Jack, and that is from the Diana Krall Nat King Cole tribute album that I was mentioning earlier. And once again, we are in the key of G, and it's a 1-6-2-5 chord progression with a twist. Taking you back to 3. And he plays a great line over those changes. It looks like this. So he starts off with a B minor 7 arpeggio, bringing it down to a B flat minor 7 arpeggio, down to A minor 7, and here he accommodates the B flat diminished chord, with a F sharp triad coming from the diminished scale. And of course that sets you up perfectly to land on the note D, the third of B minor 7 on the downbeat. The next example is from the song Boulevard of Broken Dreams from the live version that I was mentioning earlier. And for that song, they are in the key of F minor, and on the F minor, he plays this great tonic minor lick. Which is really such a nice and surprising line to play on the F minor chord. You're landing on the note E, the major 7. And ending on the note D, the 6. As a matter of fact, it's kind of neat to watch the concert because when he plays that, Diana Krall is comping behind him, and you can see her turn and face him when he plays that line. It caught her attention as well. So to put it in context, 2-5-1 in F minor. You of course can also play it up the octave. Or down below. And the last example is yet again from the live version of Boulevard of Broken Dreams. There's so much to be learned from analyzing that solo, and here he plays this on C7 altered. So we are in the key of F minor. The dominant of F minor would be C7 altered. Just before that, there would probably be a G minor 7 flat 5. And then on the C7, this is where he plays the line, and it starts off with a C7 sharp 9, moving to a C7 flat 9. Here, this is something that we often play over a G minor 7 flat 5. And this last part would be part of a C7 altered chord.